Please be seated now. Our service is about to begin. We ask that you please silence your cell phones. We welcome guests and visitors, members and friends, everyone gathered here this morning and virtually live on Facebook. Come into this place of peace and let its silence heal your spirit. Come into this place of memory and let its history warm your soul. Come into this place of prophecy and power and let its vision open your heart. My name is Tracy Simone, and I am your worship associate this morning. I am a member of this congregation and currently serve it as a COM member, Committee on Ministry member. Our worship service today is led by Minister Dana N. Moore. When not nurturing her two beautiful children, Dana Moore is committed to being a social justice warrior through her ministry work and youth and young adults. Dana is a member of the Unitarian Universalist congregation at Montclair and professional religious educator at Beacon Unitarian Universalist congregation in Summit. In her daily work, Dana journeys with visionary leaders and business owners, helping them to overcome leadership challenges, building strong teams and systems for success. As a second-year seminary student at Starr King School for the Ministry, one of only 2 UU theological schools across the globe, Dana is the recipient of the John Burens and St. Lars scholarships. She delights in studying feminine leadership and world religion. Video of today's service will be available on our YouTube channel later today. There are a few announcements for this week. Excuse me. Craft your own UU elevator speech in a workshop after today's service. An elevator speech is a brief explanation of Unitarian Universalism that you could give to a stranger on an elevator. This class will help you feel confident about articulating Unitarian Universalism and empower you to live and speak about our faith in the larger community. To attend, speak to Jessica Dunn Safanoff after the service today, or come downstairs to the green room at 12 p.m. The soup sale will be returning the Sunday after Super Bowl Sunday, February 18th. We need people to make delicious soups for sale. Soups should be labeled as to whether they're vegetarian or vegan, gluten-free, etc., etc. Soups can be frozen. Containers are available near the front door. Join us next Sunday for a beautiful sermon by Reverend Dana Warsnop from the UU Church of Ventura, to be read by Deb Dagavarian. Putting love at the center. Putting, keeping, holding love at the center of our lives, of our faith in the world. That is our human quest, and it's really hard. I really believe that the love available in the world is ample, even abundant, possible, even probable. Yet, anyone who has loved, which is all of us, knows it's so much more complicated. Welcome to worship.
Good morning. It is a gift to light our chalice this morning. And our opening words come from our gray hymnals, number 638. I love this particular small verse because it calls us into our being. Be ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere. Its temple, all space. Its shrine, the good heart. Its creed, all truth. Its ritual, works of love. Its profession of faith, divine living. Let us worship together.
Please join me in reading the chalice lighting words in your order of service. Ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere. Its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its ritual works of love, its profession of faith, divine living. Please rise now in body or spirit and sing our gathering hymn, Just as Long as I Have Breath.
Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I've made my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
A book is provided in the foyer in which you are invited to write whatever joys and sorrows you have as you enter. I will now read what you have shared. Sending love and hugs to Gina and her family. Gina's mother passed away yesterday. Surrounded by love, released from her suffering. With you, Gina. We're with you all. Keep Gina and family in your hearts. Today's joy is that we all made it today to be together on this cold morning to warm our hearts. Yeah, thank you all for venturing in. Thank you. Let us share a quiet time together to reflect on our week. During the musical interlude, you may come forward and place a pebble in the water to acknowledge a personal joy or sorrow.
I offer a prayer to love in hopes that it might hold our joys, our sorrows, our concerns. Dear love, prepare our hearts to open, to be soft and tender and vulnerable, to be honest and true, true of our desires and true of our needs, true of our hopes for ourselves, each other, and the world. Love, open our hearts that we might share all that is special, sacred, and holy in our own spaces, in our own minds and lives, and in the world. Love, remind us that we are whole and holy, that we are here and worthy. Help us to hold pain while we celebrate. Help us to live in the duality of life that makes our humanness so special. Love, prepare our hearts to hold space for others, that we may be a sanctuary of love in this world. Amen. Please join me in singing our response, number 391, in our gray hymnals. Voice still and small.
Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In sound and rain, sorrow and pain, still will remain, singing. Calming my fears, watching my tears, through all the years, singing.
We will now take a moment to give and receive the morning offering. In a moment, the ushers will come forward to pass the offertory baskets among those who are in attendance. If this is your first time visiting us today, you may let the basket pass. Your presence is gift enough. You can also text a donation to 609-293-4495. Or for those who are participating online, please visit uucsjs.org and click on the yellow Donate button. No matter how you support us, we appreciate you and your generous heart. After all, your donation is what keeps us going, and no matter how those gifts are offered, they are always most gratefully received. After we collect our morning offering, we will be having a second collection for Allies in Caring, the organization that Yvette Guillermo McGee founded. Please be generous. They do enormous good in South Jersey. The morning offering will now be given and received in the spirit of grateful fellowship.
This is now for Allies in Caring. Dana, Reverend Dana, would you like to introduce Sanctuary?
I'd first like to just share my joy. It is such a gift and a pleasure to be back here with you. I'm so grateful for your welcome and invitation and the way you hold this sanctuary with such love. It is a gift to the world. Our anthem today is called Sanctuary, and it is a tune you may be familiar with from other religions. And its original words were by Randy Scruggs and adapted for our UU lives today. I know that our hymn leaders will sing this for us probably twice through, and I'd love for you to then join when you pick up the words, when you feel it in your heart, and we can continue to sing this together and fill this sanctuary with love.
Make us aware we are a sanctuary, each made holy, love right through. With thanksgiving, we'll be a living sanctuary. Make us aware we are a sanctuary, each made holy, love right through. With thanksgiving, we are a living sanctuary. Make us aware we are a sanctuary, each made holy, love right through. With thanksgiving, we'll be a living sanctuary.
One more time.
Make us aware we are a sanctuary, each made holy and loved right through. With thanksgiving, we are a living sanctuary.
Take a moment and breathe with me. In through your nose and out through your mouth. Becoming aware of your body, your shoulders, and your heart. If you're like me, that song stirred something special right here. Do you feel that? Think of those words, that song that we get to sing in this world to share with others, and how it might make another person feel. That in itself is special. Take another deep breath and bring to mind someone you love, someone you care about, someone who might need some extra love right now. And on your next exhale, exhale not just through your mouth or nose, but through your heart and see that love, that energy flowing out to them. Know that this flow of love is limitless as your breath, as sacred as your life, comes from a renewable source with every breath. See and feel how it may land on the hearts of another. See them rejoicing in your love and feel it flowing right back to you. And when you're ready, take another deep breath and open your eyes. Singing about love is a ritual. It has its own prescribed steps. It is a solemn act and sometimes a religious act, just as rituals are defined. But they don't all happen in a sanctuary or house of worship. We share love in so many ways, and we ask that love be present with us always, in our hearts, in our homes, in the things that we do, in the food that we make, the words we share, the touches we give our presence. So how might one know that they are loved by you? In my home, we are very affectionate, and my daughter is particularly cuddly. She loves to be right by my side at all times, or within arm's length so that she can touch me. If she cannot touch me, she is that child that would be hanging on to my skirt tails. As she grew older, I began to ask her, why? Although it sounded more like, why must you touch me all the time? And she would say, because you're my mommy. You made me, I am a part of you, so you should be used to this, as she'd cuddle up even closer to me. Personal space comes at a premium in my home. And so I thought I'd employ a bit of mommy magic to get my personal space. Mommy magic, that magic that makes a kiss to a boo-boo feel better, or that airplane of mashed peas taste delightful. Mommy magic. And so I taught my children to share heart hugs with each other. Being across the room from each other, I taught them how to conjure that feeling of love. The last hug we gave a loved one, the excitement we feel when we see a friend. I taught them to bring that feeling to their heart and shine it across the room and watch carefully to see how it might land on the object of their affection. They got really good at this practice. They loved practicing it and learning it and would often walk into a room and just stand and look at me, shining my way, and suddenly I'd feel something, their presence, and turn and look and give a smile. It was very special. My children know how to get my attention without words in any room they walk in. This was a ritual of love that we were able to cultivate together out of a need for space and a need for connection, one that honors the distance that we may need and the love that we each crave and cherish. It was one of the rituals that got us through the pandemic, when we couldn't be with loved ones, and our hearts were aching, and we longed to share love. I invite you to engage this ritual whenever you see fit, and know that your love as an energy is powerful. Love is that energy that is still somewhat undefined. It can mean so many things to so many people. And there is no historical written record of when love came about. We can look at other rituals of love, like marriage, which we may know is not grounded in love, but a contract, an agreement. Marriage, at its roots, fulfilled a need for protection, a need for safety, and the need for communities to be able to continue to thrive. These days, marriage can be an expression of love, often accompanied by poetry and poetic readings. There is a beautiful reading that I'm sure we'll share just after this on Blossoms and Love by Lee Young Lee. But even poetry at its root is hard to find, hard to come by its origins. There is a lovely poem by Zoe Branch, and she talks about how powerful we are as beings, how deserving we are of worth. I believe rituals of love to accompany our very first principle, the inherent worth and dignity of each person and being. For me, grounding myself in love is what allows me to see people and allows me to care for them. When I struggle with this, I imagine individuals as young, tiny babies, small, helpless infants in a crib, crying, in need of a caring, loving, nurturing touch. And whether this person in their full adulthood received this kind of love in their infancy, I allow myself to vision them being cared for and nurtured, held and loved. This kind of tenderness and love is irresistible for my heart. So many of us find joy in seeing that bubbling, bouncing baby, anticipating a baby's birth. And so it may be easy to guide yourself to this space. And from there, through the growth of a person, cultivate some compassion, grace, and love for each individual. We are not only entitled to a sense of worth and dignity, a belief of worth and dignity, but love that accompanies this principle and calls us into action. Zoe Branch, in her poem, says, "Chin up, you bright being, and face yourself just as you are. Everything you see is perfect. Like that, everything you are is whole. Did you know that your legs were meant for wandering? Your belly for laughing, your arms for enfolding your own precious body, and your lips for speaking your own name. There is no other cosmos like the one that turns inside you, no atoms arranged quite like yours. So remember each day to carry yourself as the sacred thing that you are, a whole universe unto yourself, a soft being deserving of love." Can you hear that? The language of love in poetry. Can you hear the way love calls out to us, not just for others, but for ourselves too? In the past, love didn't exist. These days, people think of marrying without feelings or having feelings of love for their partner to be egregious. Love that brings us together, and the lack of love drives us apart. But it hasn't always been this way. There was a time when the question of love was not an issue. Beginning in ancient Greece, the consent of marriage was given by the father of the bride, who wasn't allowed her own opinion. And so it was the father who had to be convinced that the interest of this union for their daughter with a rich and prestigious, or at least worthy family, would bring them more prosperity. The ability to seduce and convince the young girl that she was loved, or could nevertheless make her more accepting of the situation between simple physical attraction and pure calculation of interest. Again, marriage as a benefit for individuals, families, and communities. But this wasn't always the thought of how we came to love one another. There is a beautiful story that takes us back and predates our ancient Greek appreciations. It is by the comic playwright Aristophanes. Plato's Symposium contains a myth about the origins of human love, the myth of Aristophanes. This myth says that once upon a time, there were three kinds of people: male, descended from the sun; female, descended from the earth; and hermaphrodite, with both male and female parts, descended from the moon. These early people were completely round, each with 4 arms and 4 legs, 2 identical faces on opposite sides of a head with 4 ears, and all else to match. They walked both forwards and backwards, and ran by turning cartwheels on their 8 limbs, moving in circles like their parents, the planets. They were wild and unruly and threatened to scale the heavens. So Zeus, the father of the gods, cut each one of them into 2 like apple pieces, which were halved for picking. So Zeus cut them right in half. After that, people searched all over the earth for their other half. When they finally found it, they wrapped themselves around it very tightly and did not let go. This is the origin of our desire for others. Those of us who desire members of the opposite sex used to be hermaphrodites, it is told in this myth, whereas men who desire men used to be male, and women who desire women used to be female, and thus are continuously searching for the other halves of themselves. How romantic. And when we find our other half, we are lost in amazement of love and friendship and intimacy that cannot be accounted for by mere lust, but by the need to be whole again, to be restored to our original nature. Our original nature of love, of seeking, of caring, of being whole and making another whole. Rituals defined as religious or solemn ceremonies with prescribed orders are not always done in houses of worship. Rituals come from the heart. They come from our calling, our need to presence the holy, to presence that holy feeling that you feel stirring inside when someone says, "Welcome home. Welcome to this safe and loving sanctuary." We create rituals of all kinds. Stevie Wonder has been known to write songs and poetries of love. To name just a few, "There's a ribbon in the sky for our love." These 3 words, "I just called to say I love you." I bet there are some rituals that you've created yourselves when thinking about sharing love. Maybe just picking up the phone and saying a few words. Those become sacred acts that have power, that stick with us generation through generation. Making food a very particular way or style that may remind us of an aunt or a great-grandmother. Just yesterday, I had the opportunity to learn canning. How many of us are familiar with canning? Not something from my generation. As a city girl, going to the store is convenient and easy, and I am so grateful to grab that can of Prego off the shelf. But yesterday, I spent hours with friends preparing apples to make homemade applesauce, and then add them to these glass cans and give them a water bath to seal that lid in, make it shelf stable to use at another time or to gift to someone in love. And as we did this process, my friend told us stories about canning with her grandmother, learning this process, one that has sustained them and helped them to share their love in the world, wrapping small little bows on these little jars of jelly or jam. For me, growing up with my great-grandmother, I was always excited to meet her down in the basement and snap peas together. I knew that we were preparing things for meals, but I didn't quite understand that there was a next step in the process, that she herself engaged in canning to prepare, to nourish and sustain us. I just looked forward to that spoonful of honey from the honey bear at the end of the process. So it was wonderful to make that association, to have those feelings stir within me again, to remember that I come from a history and a legacy of love, one that sustains me and many others. Love has many languages. For some, prayer serves as the ritual expression that liberates love. Love lives in song and poetry, in gestures and thought. In teaching my children how to conjure up feelings of love and beam them across the room, they indeed learned another language, a silent dialect of love, how to communicate and share it, and most importantly, how to receive it, how to be open to the energy of love, to recognize its presence and allow their physical, spiritual, and emotional bodies to welcome it. And so love is not a stranger for us, not a word to fear, but one to embrace and engage. Poet Chuck Akot says, And there will be a day in your life that is truly unexpected. And you will feel that revelation to yourself. In your heart, you know you are ready to love once again. And this time, you'll do it right, because ultimately, you have already accepted the past. You will take everything as part of the process. My darling, you love and you learn. I'm hoping today that you have learned how to hold love in your heart and release it into the world in a different way, in a special way, in a way that may or may not land on another person, but helps you to be in the practice of love, being in the practice of care, seeing, recognizing, holding another with grace and compassion in your mind is how we achieve what we are called to do as Unitarian Universalists. It is how we create a world of love, justice, and peace that we know everyone deserves. We learn that to liberate love, we must engage it. Your rituals of love don't have to be as my rituals of love are. They can be as elaborate as a ceremony and exchange of vows, as sweet as picking a flower, as subtle as a compliment, as simple as a phone call. No special day, no reason necessary, just to feel it, to share it, and mean it from the bottom of your heart. As Stevie Wonder says, I just called to say I love you. I just called to say I care. I just called to say I love you. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I love you. These 3 words hold so much power. Stevie continues to say, it kindles a smile, it energizes and holds us. It is sacred and special. Love is a ritual of being, and one that doesn't need a prescribed method, just an honest one from your heart. Thank you. Our reflective reading is Blossoms by Lee Young Lee. And I'd love to invite our worship associate to read it for us. I want to tell you that this poem came to me by way of beloved members here. It was one that I recited at their vow renewal, their 50th anniversary, the Merkles. They are down in Florida and hopefully watching.
Dana, thank you for sharing your words, your beautiful spirit, and your love. Thank you. All right. As she introduced the reflective reading today from Blossoms. From Blossoms comes this brown paper bag of peaches we bought from the boy at the bend in the road where we turned towards signs painted peaches. From laden boughs, from hands, from sweet fellowship in the bins, comes nectar at the roadside, succulent peaches we devour, dusty skin and all, comes a familiar dust of summer, dust we eat. Oh, to take what we love inside, to carry within us an orchard, to eat not only the skin, but the shade, not only the sugar, but the days, to hold the fruit in our hands, adore it, then bite into the round jubilance of peach. There are days we live as if death were nowhere in the background, from joy to joy to joy, from wing to wing, from blossom to blossom, to impossible blossom, to sweet, impossible blossom.
We're going to do the closing hymn now, which is in your order of service. There is a love. And we're not going to do it as a round today. Yeah, please rise in body or spirit.
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. We rest in this love.
Beloveds, in order to liberate love, we have to be willing to hear its call, to know that it lives in all things, and be courageous enough to engage it, to receive all the beauty of love's promise, not just for the holiday, but on any ordinary day, to choose love, to call on love, and allow it to transform you, maybe even liberating love in your own worlds. Thank you. And with that, we extinguish our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love,
Or the
the
fire
fire
of
of
commitment.
commitment.
These we
Carry in our hearts
until we are together again. And the postlude.
And a note of thanks to our musicians, our singers, for all those who kept it going today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We warmly welcome all of you who are visiting us today. Now, let us share in a moment of silent reflection to consider today's message and the meaning it has in our lives.
Thank you. Thank you. Aw, thanks. Thanks. Thank you.